incredible union partners who have joined us this morning. I'd also like big round of applause. They built this province, the proud workers who've built this city. And I'd like to thank our incredible Ontario PC team here, Tony Francis, Andrew Dowie, and Anthony Liardi, who are incredible champions for this Windsor region. They're delivering in a big way for this community. Premier Ford and I are honored to join you here today in full view of the Ambassador Bridge, a testament to what we can achieve when we work together, a testament to the Ontario workers. Today we're coming together in the face of unparalleled challenges. The impact of tariffs will be felt the most in construction and manufacturing sectors. And in the face of economic uncertainty, we know that many of you have concerns. What's going to happen to my job? How will I be able to afford groceries and put food on the table? What does this mean for my children looking for their first job? While we don't have a crystal ball that can see into the future, we do have a Premier that is squarely focused on protecting workers and Ontario jobs. He has helped guide us through challenging times before, and we know he will do it again. And when it comes to this Premier, it's action, not just words. It's this Premier that has invested more than $1.4 billion to train over 600,000 workers. Better training, better jobs. And it's this Premier that has made the choice to not just invest in training, but in training halls. And he's backed it up by more than $76 million towards state-of-the-art training facilities and new equipment. But it's not just an investment in buildings. It's a bet on the people who bring these buildings to life. A bet on Ontario workers. And that bet is one we will make today, it's one we'll make tomorrow, and it's one we will make for 4 more years. And that's why, folks, we're here today to seek a mandate to protect Ontario workers and to protect Ontario jobs. Because when I look across this audience here, I see builders, I see doers, I see people who create something from nothing, who take an empty plot of land and turn it into a place to call home. People who harness the power of our resources to heat it and enable the infrastructure that connects all of it. People who make the parts that put together form the vehicles that take us to where we need to be. We will do everything in our power to protect you, the Ontario worker, because without you, nothing is possible. But together, we are undeniable and unstoppable as a province. Thank you, and I'd now like to introduce you to someone you know well, someone who will never stop fighting for the people of Ontario, someone we can count on to stand up for workers, to stand up for our province, the Premier of our province, and the next Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford.
Boy, well, first of all, thank you very much, and I just want to thank you, David, first of all, for that introduction, but the work that you've been doing, making sure we work with our great partners in the trades and building more skilled workers around the province, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for helping out build our province, build our country, and I'll make sure you're always protected. I want to welcome my Ontario PC candidates. Andrew Dowie, your PC candidate for Windsor-Tecumseh. They're all champs, these guys. Anthony Liardi, your PC candidate for Essex. And Tony Francis, your PC candidate for Windsor West. And I can't wait to welcome Tony to Queen's Park as part of our Ontario PC team. Yesterday, I met with Her Honor, the Lieutenant Governor, who accepted my request to dissolve the legislature and call an election to be held on February 27th. I couldn't imagine a better place to start our campaign than right here in Windsor. And I couldn't imagine a better partner to start our campaign with than with the people of Windsor. And Mayor Dilkins wanted to be here today, but unfortunately he had a little family emergency, and we all know family comes first. So I just wish you all the best, Mayor, and I'll be coming back here again. But he's an absolute champion for this city and for his people, and I thank him for his support. In these uncertain times, I'm asking the people of Ontario for their trust. I'm asking the people for a strong, stable, 4-year mandate to do whatever it takes to protect Ontario. The people of our province, like people across Canada, are facing unprecedented challenge. President Trump is threatening steep and sweeping tariffs that will devastate Canada's economy on February 1st. And I mean it when I say devastate. Hundreds of thousands of Ontario jobs are at risk, and not just factory workers, service workers, the great construction workers here, retail workers, everyday hard-working people in offices and factories across Ontario. When workers lose their jobs, entire communities feel pain. Bills go unpaid, local businesses lose customers, families worry about their future. And let's be clear, this isn't just about tariffs. The president has threatened economic force. He's even floated the unthinkable, taking over Canadian territory. Let me say this loud and clear, Canada is not for sale. Not to President Trump, not to anyone. The sad fact is, there is no reason for President Trump to be doing this. Canada and the United States are strongest when we work together. Before I entered politics, I ran a business that had employees on both sides of the border. I've seen it firsthand. If you ask thousands of Canadian and American business owners, or the millions of Canadian and American workers that depend on cross-border trade, they will tell you that Canada-U.S. trade is one of the great win-wins in the history of the world. More jobs and bigger paychecks for workers on both sides of the border. More profits for businesses on both sides of the border. Lower prices for consumers on both sides of the border. More revenue for governments on both sides of the border. I wish Canada was not in this position. I wish we were working together to make Canada and the United States the richest, most successful, safest, most secure two countries on the planet. But nobody has ever solved a problem by wishing it away. We have to play the hand we're dealt. To protect Ontario and Canada, we need a strong leadership that is prepared to do whatever lies ahead. Despite the chaos we now see in Ottawa, I made it very clear that our government will rise above politics and partisanship to work with any Prime Minister to keep Ontario and Canada safe. From factory floors to boardrooms, from Main Street, Ontario to American cable news. I've gone and will continue to go anywhere and everywhere to make the case for Ontario, for Canada, and for America to work together once again. I continue to hope that cooler heads will prevail, that the Trump administration will pull back from these tariffs. But I'm also a realist. We have to prepare for the worst. We're entertaining a period of unprecedented economic risk and lengthy negotiations against President Trump and with the federal government and other provinces. During this time, the government will need to move fast. Responding to the challenge will demand enormous action that was never considered as part of our current mandate. We'll redouble our efforts to build Ontario's economy. We will do whatever it takes to protect workers and their livelihoods. We will invest tens of billions of dollars in new spending to keep people working. We will work with unions and businesses to retain and reskill our hardest hit workers. And as we do, we need to do everything possible to keep our economy competitive. We'll keep up the fight against the job-killing Liberal carbon tax, and we're urging the federal government to join us in cutting red tape and streamlining approvals to get big things built faster. All of this will require unplanned action with long-term consequences, which is why the people of Ontario deserve to have their voices heard. As taxpayers, this is your money. This is your province and your future. You deserve a say. As Premier, my mandate can only come from the people, not from other politicians. And the bigger the mandate I receive from you, the better we'll be able to protect our province. Because this is a game to the president. He seeks to divide and conquer, whether he imposes tariffs next week, next month, or waits another year or more. Trump's threats are not going away. At a time when the federal government has left Canada drifting, exposed, and vulnerable, President Trump will use every day he's in office to exploit any weakness he can find. To protect Ontario, we need a mandate that will outlive and outlast the Trump administration. While I cannot control Ottawa, there will be no weakness in Ontario. These were the facts that weighed on me when I considered calling this election. With the trust and the support of Ontario workers, I will give this fight everything I've got. In times of trouble, Team Ontario will once again answer the call. We'll continue to make the case to our American allies that we're so much stronger together. We'll also be ready to do whatever is necessary to stand up for and protect Ontario. Our workers, businesses, communities, make no mistake, Ontario won't start a fight with the U.S., but you better believe we'll be ready to win one. To the people of Ontario, let me close by saying this. You know me and the kind of leader I am. You may not always agree with me, and that's okay, but my record is clear. When times are tough, I will do whatever it takes to keep you safe. I will work with anyone, and I will stand up to anyone in order to protect our province and our people. I'm prepared to do whatever is necessary and whatever it takes to protect our jobs, businesses, families, and communities. That's why on February 27th, I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking you for a stronger mandate by electing your local Ontario PC candidates. The stronger the mandate, the better. And together, we will protect Ontario. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
We will now open the floor for questions from the media. Please come to the mic and state your name and outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Thank you, Grace. Mark McAllister from City News.
Hi, Mark.
You have spent tens of millions of dollars in government money at this point. You've made multiple American media appearances, and yet you haven't yet taken these tariffs off the table at this point. What makes voters believe that you can protect Ontario if you haven't at this point?
Well, these tariffs are coming. They haven't come yet, Mark, and thank you for that question. I think I've proven to the people in Ontario I'll do whatever it takes to protect them, to protect the workers, to protect communities, protect businesses. And that's exactly what we're going to do. It may take tens of billions of dollars to do that. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And we'll fight these tariffs with every tool in our toolbox.
This border behind you, this bridge behind you is federal jurisdiction. Shouldn't voters in this province be watching what's happening in Ottawa right now and not necessarily this election you called?
Well, I think it affects every single province, every single territory from coast to coast to coast. We all have to work together. Municipalities, the provinces, the territories, and the federal government. And that's exactly what we plan on doing. I'll be getting on a call very shortly, right after this press conference, to talk to all 13 premiers and the Prime Minister and their team to look at the retaliatory tariffs that we're looking at. But I can tell you one thing, we will do whatever it takes to protect the people of Ontario.
Good morning, Rob Ferguson, Toronto Star.
Hi, Rob.
Good morning. You boasted Friday and again today that you're the best candidate to protect Ontario from Trump tariffs, but the Financial Accountability Office revealed Monday that your convenience store beer deal is costing several more times than you promised, into the hundreds of millions. Why should voters believe you're better than Trump at the art of the deal?
Well, first of all, I appreciate that question, Rob. You know, that's what the people want. We're the only jurisdiction in the world that didn't have it. This is about convenience. This is about creating tens of thousands of jobs in convenience stores and retail stores. And they don't put down how many jobs it will create. They don't put down the close to $1 billion of economic growth that we're going to see when we do this. I don't believe in big U.S. corporations having a monopoly on our beer. I believe the people should have a choice in the convenience. If they want to grab a beer at a grocery store while they're grabbing a steak, God bless them. Good for them. But we're going to be like every single other jurisdiction in the world, that adults can go in and actually buy beer and wine in the convenience or local retailer.
But what are people to make of that deal? It costs, like I said, like 4 times more, like almost $800 million more, or $600 million more than you said it would. That's like $600 million.
Rob, let me
that's
tell you.
That's a lot of money.
I was protecting the beer store workers, but what they aren't saying is the hundreds of millions of dollars in economic development that it is going to create. More jobs, more opportunities, convenience for people. That's what we're doing, and so far it seems to be working out extremely well, talking to the convenience store owners and the retailers.
Good morning, it's Jessica from the Trillium.
Hi, Jessica.
So we know that you've been trying to get a meeting with President Trump. Have you been able to do that yet?
Not yet, and we're going to be going down there on the 11th and 12th of February to meet the senators and congresspeople and other stakeholders in the U.S. Then I'm going to go back down on the 20th for the governor's meeting as well, and I've talked to governors and congresspeople and senators every single day. But do you know what they say? No matter if they're Republican or Democrat, they don't agree with these tariffs. When I talk to the endless amount of people I know in the U.S., they love Canada. They love Canada. They don't agree with these tariffs. They want to work collaboratively with us, because I'll tell you, 9 million Americans wake up every single morning to produce products for Ontario alone. Those 9 million people may not have a job when these tariffs come in. It's going to be painful on both sides, but we'll get through this. We'll make sure that we use every tool in our toolbox to protect Ontario families, protect Ontario workers, businesses, and communities.
To follow up on that, you said it would be a disaster if the other party leaders sit down across the table from President Trump. But what makes you think you'll have the chance to? And did he meet with you during his first administration?
No, I never met with him in the first administration. I just feel very simply, we have a stronger team. We have a brighter team. We have stronger leadership. And we'll sit down with the representatives. And if we have an opportunity to sit down with President Trump, we'll do that. And we'll lay it on the table that we're so much stronger together. We're stronger when they need our critical minerals. They're stronger when they use our crude oil. They're stronger when they use our aluminum, our high-grade nickel, our potash, our uranium. That's what I'm going to tell them. And we want to ship them more. And just to keep in mind, right across this bridge, on the other side, we keep 1.5 million homes in New York and Michigan and Minnesota lit up. I want to send them more power, more electricity.
Morning, Doug. Liam Casey with the Canadian Press.
Hi, William.
The FAO says it's costing the province more than $600 million to get beer and wine into corner stores a year earlier than you planned. Do you regret any of that now, considering we would have $600 million more in our back pockets to deal with these tariffs?
What I'm happy about are convenience stores are making a little more money. They're hiring more people. Retailers are hiring more people. The convenience for someone to go in and buy some groceries and actually be like everyone else in the world and maybe pick up a bottle of wine or a case of beer. That's the convenience right there. And we're going to do everything we can, make sure that we're competitive. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're making ourselves more competitive. And we want to get the beer the same price as Quebec. We've done this on purpose to make sure that we lower the cost of beer and wine and liquor in the LCBO and beer and wine in the retailers. That's what we're doing.
The OMA says this morning there are 2,600 vacant physician positions across the province and that there's been virtually no improvement since a year ago. What does that say about your progress on healthcare?
I'm sorry, 2,600? Say that again?
2,600 vacant doctor positions across the province.
Well, I'm not too sure if you missed the announcement the other day that we're putting in $1.8 billion with a plan to connect every single person to a family doc, with the leadership of my minister Sylvia Jones and Dr. Jane Philpott, which is well renowned in healthcare right across the country. But let me tell you what we are doing in healthcare. When we came into office, healthcare was an absolute disaster. We have created the positions for 100,000 new nurses, 30,000 more nurses that are in colleges and universities that are getting their education paid for if they work in needed areas. We've registered more than 15,000 doctors. We've added more medical schools that in Brampton, there hasn't been a medical school in 100 years. We've added more medical seats as the Liberals reduced seats, fired nurses. We're hiring tens of thousands of nurses. We're hiring more doctors every single day. As I said, 15,000 more doctors. Windsor, right here in Windsor, they're getting a brand new hospital. We're spending over $50 billion on building 50 sites right across our province. We're putting more and more money. Matter of fact, we're putting $33 billion more in healthcare funding than any other government in the history of Ontario. That's what we're doing for healthcare.
Hi there, Mr. Ford. It's Chris Ensing with CBC News here.
Hi, Chris.
I got a question here. With tariffs supposedly coming on Saturday, what's the first step in this economic action plan that your cabinet discussed yesterday? How quickly will that be implemented?
Well, first of all, let's see the tariffs come. And after our conversation with the premiers and the prime minister, we're going to put retaliatory tariffs on right away. But we have a strong plan to spend tens of billions of dollars. And until I see what areas and what sectors are affected, I can't just come up with an area that might not be affected. But once it comes, you'll hear loud and clear on how we're going to support the people of Ontario.
Okay. The last election, there was a lot of focus on housing. Here in the City Hall, people are fighting developments they believe make areas unsafe, but they meet provincial standards.
Yeah.
The mayor has said changes to provincial policies have made it nearly impossible to deny developments that some neighborhoods oppose. What do you say to the homeowners who are fighting these developments at City Hall, who are told they're fighting an uphill battle because of your decisions?
Okay, so which mayor are you talking about?
Here in Windsor, Dilkins, he says it's nearly impossible to oppose some developments because of the tighter restrictions.
Well, let me tell you something. He's one of the greatest mayors, one of my closest allies. We have given more money to Windsor to make sure that they have the infrastructure, the water that they need to build more homes. We've cut red tape and regulations across the province. Rather than taking 5 years to get a permit, now you can speed things up right across the province when it comes to permitting. We're standardizing permitting going across the province. We're putting billions of dollars into infrastructure to help build more homes a lot faster. We have the BFF fund, so if they hit their target, they get a massive check. Up to tens of millions of dollars if they hit the target. And Windsor's doing a great job, and I have 100% support for the mayor and all the infrastructure that we're doing around Windsor. No matter if it's widening Highway 3 or Lausanne Parkway or many other Banwell Parkway, we're investing like Windsor's never seen. Windsor was ignored for 30, 40, 50 years. With our great MPPs here, now Windsor has a voice. And it's amazing the tens of billions of dollars that we're putting into Windsor.
Hi, Maureen with Blackburn News. Hi, Maureen with Blackburn News. Our local school boards are dealing with major deficits, looking at canceling special education programs. What's your plan for education over the next 4 years?
Well, going to education, again, I'm going to say that this government has put more into education than any government in the history of Ontario. Well, the Liberal government was closing 600 schools. We're building hundreds of schools, and many right here in Windsor that they haven't seen ever. We're spending over $16 billion in helping. We have great schools, brand new schools, and supporting our students. That's exactly what we're going to do for education. We're going to continue investing in education. Not to mention, we've hired over 6,000 more educators throughout the province. And we're going to continue investing in education. But do you know what? You can't invest in education. You can't invest in healthcare if your economy gets attacked. And that's why we have to protect the people. We have to protect the education system, the healthcare system. The economy pays for everything. When you have a terrible economy And under the Liberals and NDP, it was very busy at this border because over 300,000 people lost their jobs, and all you saw is taillights heading to the Ambassador Bridge to go open up. Let's look forward close to 7 years later. There's over 850,000 people working today that were not collecting a paycheck 7 years ago. So we've created the environment and the conditions for companies to come here and thrive and prosper and grow. And guess what? When that happens, their employees, their staff thrive, prosper, and grow because we're investing into the people, we're investing into businesses. And we have to make sure we protect those businesses, protect the people, protect the communities.
I guess, buildings and all that investments are great, but what about the programming in them? They're canceling special education programs, leaving these special education children out without the resources they need.
We've invested hundreds of millions of dollars for special education, unlike any other government. We're adding more resources. We're hiring more educators than ever before.
Hi, my name is Pierre. I'm with French CBC, Radio-Canada, and my question is on homelessness. It's an issue here in Windsor. Shelters are close to be full. In London, it's the same, and shelters ask for more resources. Yeah. So, what is your response?
Well, again, I'm going to keep telling you, there's never been more of an investment in homeless folks than what we've invested. We've given tens of millions of dollars into this area to make sure that we get their people shelter, we get them fed. But most importantly, we're spending tens of millions of dollars training them in many different categories, skilled trades, to get them back on their feet, that they can go out there and get a job and have a paycheck and have a rental condo. That's what we're doing. It's all about making sure we support these people and getting them back on their feet. The best thing we could do for them is get them a good paying job.
This will be the last reporter.
All right, I better make this a good one, eh? Bob Belichico, CTV News. Actually, this one's out of Toronto. I hear that the taxpayer rebate checks are bouncing at RBC. So I don't know if you've heard this, but any reaction to that?
No, I something. I don't think checks RBC is the issue. But when you send out, I think close to 10 million checks to put back into people's pockets, addresses change. Unfortunately, some people pass away. They still have the information. So if you filed your taxes in 2023, then you're getting a rebate of $200. And if you have kids, they're getting $200. But you have to file your taxes in 2023. We do have a hotline set up for people that if they've moved or they have an issue, they can call that hotline. But I'm getting endless calls thanking us for giving back the people's money. See, this is the difference between ourselves and the other parties. The other parties, no matter if it's Merritt, Stiles, or Bonnie Crombie, they believe it's their money. They believe that they should hike taxes. We believe differently. The money that we're giving back are the people's money. It's not our money. And we're going to make sure that we continue putting money back into people's pockets, no matter if it was reducing the 10.7 cents on the gas tax, and we're still waiting for the federal government to get rid of that terrible, nasty carbon tax, or making sure that we're getting rid of tolls and putting more money back into people's pockets, making sure we have one fare so someone can hop on the GO train, go into the city of Toronto, hop on the Toronto Transit, hop on the Mississauga Transit, on one fare. We believe that when you put money into people's pockets, they're going to stimulate the economy. The worst place you could give your money is the government, because they know how to waste it, I'll tell you that. But I'll tell you, I just trust the people, I trust the companies that they're going to reinvest and stir the economy. That's the best thing to do.
All right, my follow-up, I guess since we're at the border, is this more or less a referendum on who's the strongest leader to be able to deal with tariffs, Trump, whoever, whatever's coming at you from the U.S.?
It's twofold here. Is leadership, and who do you trust to take care of the people of Ontario and the businesses and the workers when times get tough? And they're going to get tough. Do you trust the other parties that all they believe is tax and spend? Or do you believe in the PC party that's going to support you. We're going to put tens of billions of dollars into the economy, just like we did during the pandemic. There's experience on one side with the PC party and zero experience with the other three parties. I'll tell you who I'm betting on. I'm betting on the PC party. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. God bless you. Thanks.